Hey there, I'm Tori Soar, and today we're talking about the 10th episode of Miraculous Season 6, The Dark Castle. I know technically the next episode I have yet to review is Vampagami, but I'm gonna wait until that episode comes out in English before I review it. But with that, spoiler warning for Miraculous Season 6, Episode 10, The Dark Castle, let's get into it. The Dark Castle follows Marinette borrowing the rabbit Miraculous to allow Alix to celebrate her birthday with her friends and family instead of staying alone in the burrow. After giving Alix the celebration she deserves, Ladybug and Cat Noir take on an akumatized Mr. Darjancourt, who is transformed into a giant walking castle. I'm gonna start off by discussing the akumatization, since it is probably the least main plot relevant aspect of this episode. First of all, Mr. Darjancourt continues to be absolutely insufferable. Like, he was always kind of annoying, though outside of his akumatization in Season 1, he's only really been featured as Adrian's fencing instructor, so I didn't really have strong feelings about him. However, this episode really emphasized what an uptight prick he is. The fact that this man has the audacity to demand that the Louvre Pyramid be dismantled because it's disrespecting the monarchy is absurd.
Again with this vile pyramid! It's defacing this noble building that was once home to the French sovereigns!
Darjancourt is the definition of being stuck in the past, and the fact that his akumatization revolves around wanting to restore his ideal version of Paris is just bad vibes all around. Which also ties into a theory I've seen floating around that Mr. Darjancourt is involved with the Kingdom, the secret organization that Gabriel Agreste was a part of before he kicked the bucket in Season 5. Although it would initially seem strange for this random fencing instructor to be involved with a group of elites like Gabriel Agreste and Tomoe Tsurugi, we know from Season 1 that his ancestor Darkblade ruled over France at one point, so there may still be some generational power and influence he still maintains behind the scenes. Mr. Darjancourt certainly has the elitist attitude that would fit right in with these rich freaks trying to reshape the world or whatever bullshit they're trying to achieve. However, I don't think it's particularly likely that he is a part of this group because he is just a fencing instructor, and there are a lot of other rich influential characters in this series such as Bob Roth or Emily's dad that are more likely to fill out the rest of the kingdom. Outside of his reasons for being akumatized, the Dark Castle is such an insanely cool villain. He's introduced through the classic akumatized villain army through the walking armor, which always makes for some fun fights, but the fact that he's become the entire castle is such a unique and visually stunning choice. Once we get the reveal of Darjancourt having turned into the castle, the fight becomes extremely reminiscent of Shadow of the Colossus in the way Ladybug and Cat Noir are running and climbing over this gargantuan enemy and need to strike a specific point on his body in order to defeat him. The lighting of this fight is also very similar to Shadow of the Colossus. There's one shot in particular that feels like it came right out of the game. I also love how this episode feels like a return to a classic Miraculous villain with the very clever Lucky Charm solution of using the yo-yo string to attack his entire body at once. In general, the season has done a fantastic job of bringing back the classic akumatized villain feel, which was something that was lacking in Season 5 and Season 4 to some extent due to how much the episodes prioritized story above everything else. In Season 4's case, I didn't mind that much because I loved what they were doing with the story in that season, but it is really nice to have this return to our classic superhero duo facing a significant challenge and taking down the villain together.
We could use some backup, don't you think?
No need for backup. We can do this on our own, kitty.
Another thing I was delighted to see in this episode was the return of Alix Kubdel. Since she was given the Rabbit Miraculous at the start of Season 5, Alix has almost completely disappeared from the narrative due to her needing to protect the Miraculous in the burrow, which is so incredibly unfair. She's like, what, 15, and she has to carry the weight of the world on her shoulders like this? This poor girl has been robbed of the rest of her childhood because of this huge burden that's been placed on her. And look, Alix is that fucking guy. I know she's up to the task and there isn't anyone else in the series that I would trust with that responsibility, but it really is such a tragedy that she's had this duty forced upon her when it is such an adult responsibility. Then again, Marinette is also facing very adult responsibilities. That's just kind of the territory with a teenage superhero show. Really, the best person to be kept guarding the Rabbit Miraculous probably would have been Master Fu, but he's busy having amnesia or whatever, and he's been guarding these Miraculous for over 100 years. He does sort of deserve a break. In any case, Alix getting to take this day off to celebrate her birthday with her loved ones was very much deserved, though it still does really suck she doesn't get to permanently stay a part of the classmate ensemble, since her commentary and banter with her friends was always delightful. In order for Alix to celebrate her birthday, someone needs to watch over the Rabbit Miraculous in her stead, which of course leads Marinette to take on the burden herself, transforming into the one and only Bunnybug. I always love to see Marinette with different Miraculous, whether it be her wielding it herself or a unification with the Ladybug Miraculous, and this episode so graciously gifts us with both. I'm gonna start with Bunnynette, who shows up later in the episode when Ladybug needs to fight the Dark Castle. I think her design is generally pretty cute. It's kind of hard to go wrong with the Rabbit Miraculous. I like the concept of the little jacket she wears here, but I'm not the biggest fan of the jacket's lapels and how they have these big white circles on them. I also don't love the inclusion of the white ball sitting on the white shirt. The lack of visual contrast doesn't really work compared to Bunnix or Pennybug's designs. Speaking of Pennybug, both Bunnynette and Bunnybug brought back the teal gradient on her pigtails that looks really nice. Overall, I think Bunnynette's design is really solid. The things I don't like about it are very minor nitpicks. Bunnybug's design, on the other hand, is absolutely gorgeous. I thought I wouldn't like the red from Ladybug being used as outlines and accents on the outfit, but it works surprisingly well. I'm glad they opted to prioritize the Rabbit Miraculous color palette over Ladybug's, and because spots were already a part of the Rabbit Miraculous imagery, these designs blended together very nicely. I have mixed feelings on the blue lipstick because it does go with the design. I'm just personally not a fan of bright lipstick colors, so it's not my favorite. Otherwise, I adore Bunnybug's design. She is so damn cute. Outside of it being generally exciting to see Marinette get new designs by wielding the Rabbit Miraculous, it was really fun seeing her actually use it in the episode. Unlike Cat Noir in season 5 being an absolute badass with the Rabbit Miraculous, Marinette's use of it is a lot more whimsical and silly, which is a very nice contrast. The fact that she almost kisses Adrian on the cheek through the burrow is absolutely ridiculous, but so very Marinette. I also love the handoff of the Rabbit Miraculous to her future self. The way the two Marinettes interact is a lot of fun.
Marinette Dupan-Cheng, here is the Don't worry, I know the drill. Fluff clockwise.
I also love how this episode highlights the butterfly effect and how the slightest change can have a huge impact on the timeline. As funny and absurd the chain of events that results from Marinette shifting a bowl of pudding a few inches is, it's also a great indication of the importance of the Rabbit Miraculous and how it must not be abused or unforeseen disasters could occur. Which brings me to the main question plaguing this episode. Did Marinette make a catastrophic mistake while using the Rabbit Miraculous? The pudding disaster illustrates how something small and seemingly inconsequential can result in catastrophe. As soon as the genius idea delivery event was revealed to be Bunnybug before the events of the episode, I immediately became very nervous for how things would unfold, since Marinette gave herself the idea to hold on to the Rabbit Miraculous before knowing how it would go. Rewatching the episode, nothing goes wrong enough from Marinette's perspective that she would have changed her mind to give herself the idea by the end of it, but it still raises a red flag that she was being so risky with this Miraculous on a bit of a whim.
Don't you think it's a bit risky to use the Rabbit Miraculous just for this?
It's very possible that Marinette messing with time, even in subtle ways, could have lasting effects that pose a great danger to her or Paris. But outside of the Rabbit Miraculous's power, there is one pretty direct consequence of her using the Miraculous that is very heavily implied during the episode. After the Dark Castle is defeated, we're taken to Chrysalis's note-taking lair, where she says,
"She wasn't there. It goes to show, but I need to check again to make sure."
This implies that she noticed Marinette didn't attend the party and is suspicious of her being Ladybug. Again, I'm not going to review Vampagami until it comes out in English, but that episode confirms for us that Lila has this suspicion of Ladybug's identity, but is still looking for outright confirmation of it. However, Lila wasn't at the party, so how did she know Marinette wasn't there? Obviously, she could have just been spying as she's been doing throughout the season, but this ties into one theory that's been floating around about one of the new characters this season, Agley, potentially being Lila or associated with her. I'll expand on my thoughts on this theory in my Reckless Driver review since it's an Agley-centric episode. However, I generally don't think it's likely that Agley is Lila. That said, Agley is the one that calls out that Marinette is missing from the party, and she sounds panicked.
This is so cool, and you're all here.
No, we're not. Marinette's missing. Where is she?
If Agley isn't Lila, I think it's very possible that she is an unwilling informant for her, which is why she sounds so concerned when she says this. But again, I will expand on the Agley theory in my Reckless Driver video. The final thing I want to call out from this episode relates to my theory that Marinette will give up her Miraculous by the end of the season, at least temporarily. There are a lot of pieces in place that could cause this, such as Chrysalis suspecting her identity, but the main reason I think it could happen is the stress of her keeping the secret of Monarch's true identity from those she loves and trusts most, which has clearly been eating her alive the entire season. The fact that back-to-back episodes have one of Marinette's friends asking for her Miraculous feels like foreshadowing this possibility.
I'm gonna ask you something you'll probably find very strange, but please let me borrow your Miraculous.
Okay, you can keep the Rabbit Miraculous, but in exchange, you give me the Ladybug.
Obviously, these are very different circumstances, as Alix is using it to make a point that she is the best person to hold on to the Rabbit Miraculous, but I also think it's very possible that Alix is using this moment as a hint towards Ladybug's future. Perhaps she will need to trust Luca with her Miraculous or otherwise give it up temporarily to protect herself. No matter how things end up unfolding, I am very excited to see how the suspicion of Marinette as Ladybug, as well as Monarch's true identity being kept secret, are going to play out at the end of the season. Overall, the Dark Castle was a really solid episode, episode, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how it influences the rest of the show's narrative. But that does it for this video. Let me know what y'all thought of the Dark Castle, and if you are as worried for Marinette as I am. I'm gonna continue reviewing the Miraculous Season 6 episodes that I have yet to discuss on this channel, and hopefully by the time I catch up, the series will no longer be on hiatus, and we will have some fun and exciting new episodes to talk about. I've also been rewatching the whole series as I've been showing it to a friend, and I'm strongly considering making videos about certain plot points from around Season 3. In particular, I want to make a full video discussing Chloe's arc, especially because as the show progresses, there continues to be more interesting things that happen that are relevant to that discussion. Though I may wait until Season 6 is done before I make that video, just in case there are any new and interesting things that happen at the end of the season. So make sure to subscribe so you can catch new Miraculous content from me when those videos do come out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like and hype if you did. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time.